It's recap time. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Shower Podcast, the podcast where I'm in my shower and you do you. I'm your host, Chip, and this is not my usual intro. This is a bit of a special episode. Unfortunately, I will be away for a few days, and I found out this interesting way of filling the gaps with recaps from previous episodes. If this is your first time here, use it as an opportunity to find topics that you might be interested in and go back to listen to the original ones. If you are a usual listener of the Shower Podcast, well, again, this might be a rehearsal of topics that you might be interested in. Otherwise, I understand if you want to wait for me to be back. But in the meanwhile, the podcast needs to continue and we need to reach day 365. Having said that, I will not keep you longer. Thank you very much for listening. As always, a like and a subscribe. They are always welcome. And now, recap time.
Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we have a pretty unique mission, I think.
I'd say so.
We're taking a stack of recent content, specifically 3 back-to-back insights from Chip, and we're going to try and synthesize them for you.
Right. We're looking at episodes 329, 330, and 331.
Exactly.
And these 3 discussions, they cover some pretty different concepts, right? We got perspective, commitment, and clarity.
Very different.
But our goal here is to show you the natural connections between them, to kind of build a full picture of how you can improve your outlook and, your day-to-day productivity.
And as a quick heads up, for anyone who hasn't heard his stuff before,
Oh, yeah.
he shares these insights while he's literally in the shower. That's the whole environment for these deep dives.
You do you.
You do you. But the insights themselves are absolute gold. So we've distilled the core knowledge for you.
And we really want to pull out those surprising facts that can just, immediately accelerate your understanding.
Right. And hey, if any of these ideas really resonate with you, definitely go check out the original episodes. They're a fascinating listen.
For sure.
But for now, we are jumping right in. Let's start with episode 329, Who's Your Idol?
This is such a powerful place to start. It really deals with how we frame our expectations of other people.
Which shapes everything.
It absolutely does. I mean, the core topic here is that inevitable disappointment that comes from idealizing anyone, especially people outside your actual life.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Chip's main insight is, well, it's blunt.
Very.
Idols don't exist. There is no such thing as a perfect human being. We create these perfect images in our minds, and we're basically setting ourselves up for a fall.
And that realization can hit pretty early. He talks about reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad when he was, 14 or 15?
Yeah, around that age.
And the book, regardless of how anyone sees the author or the advice now, it opened up these huge ideas for him back then.
So the lesson wasn't that the source was perfect.
Not at all. It was that the idea itself could be valuable, even if the messenger wasn't infallible.
That's a critical distinction. Value the idea, not the person. And he used the same logic for someone like Elon Musk.
Right. He read his autobiography way before Musk became what he is today.
Before all the controversy, yeah. And because he never fully put him on a pedestal, never idolized him.
He was able to adapt.
Exactly. When Musk's whole public persona shifted so dramatically, Chip could adjust his viewpoint without that cognitive shock, that crushing disappointment so many fans feel.
And what's driving this whole modern phenomenon of idols failing is a concept we really have to unpack here. It's called parasociality.
Okay, let's get the deep dive definition on that. Parasociality in the age of, the attention economy.
So fundamentally, it's the illusion of intimacy. It's born from repetition. Meaning it's the idea that you know somebody, like really know them, because you spend hours and hours consuming their curated content.
You watch their streams, you hear their daily thoughts.
You see their digital living room. But the truth is, you know absolutely nothing about the actual person. You're emotionally invested in a completely one-sided performed relationship.
Which makes the inevitable scandal or downfall so much more painful.
Of course.
Because when the person you feel does something that contradicts that image, the psychological break is just huge.
And Chip saw this firsthand when a few streamers he followed had these public controversies about, behaviors they'd kept hidden.
And his own reaction was the key, right?
It's crucial. His personal take was just a neutral, detached, okay, cool. But being neutral let him see the really critical insight for all of us.
Which was the split.
The immediate, clear, and just violent split online. You had blatant support on one side and total opposition on the other. Everyone just rushes to the extremes.
And the lesson there is probably one of the most important from all 3 of these episodes combined.
I'd agree with that.
The truth is always in the middle. It's in the gray areas.
Mm-hmm.
if you find yourself at either extreme fanatically defending or just absolutely destroying someone.
You're, by definition, ignoring nuance. You're looking at a caricature, not a person.
So I have to ask the question that I know is on people's minds. When you're talking about a really controversial figure or even a global conflict, seeking the middle ground can feel wrong.
Like moral relativism.
Right.
Right.
Is the goal here really to be neutral on everything?
That's a great point. And the answer, at least from the source material, is no. It's not about achieving moral neutrality. It's about demanding a completeness of information.
Ah, okay. So it's about seeing the whole picture.
Exactly. The final recommendation is to always consider the other side of the coin.
Yeah.
You don't have to agree with it or endorse it, but ignoring it prevents you from fully understanding the situation. It just locks you in a confirmation bias bubble.
So if you refuse to look for information that's hard to find or just, information you don't want to know because it challenges your view,
You lose the ability to solve the problem, whether it's a tiny personal issue or, as Chip noted, a major worldwide one. The ability to see the gray to detach from the idle. That's the highest form of critical thinking.
that is a serious perspective check. And now let's pivot from that abstract mental process right into the concrete daily battle of getting things done.
A perfect transition. We're moving into episode 330, Just Like Domino. And this one was a very personal reflection on procrastination.
Yeah, it asks that question. Why do my days end with a half-empty checklist even when I started out feeling super productive?
It really hones in on that exact moment when commitment just fails.
And the core idea is the domino analogy for task management, which in theory is beautiful.
It is. You structure your tasks so that you just have to push that one key domino.
And one falls, all of them follow.
Exactly. It's about creating this low-friction, natural momentum.
But Chip's mistake on this particular day was so frustratingly relatable.
Oh, totally. He wasn't letting the momentum build. He was like pushing one domino, then stopping to adjust another one, then putting a third one back up because he wasn't sure if it was perfect.
That constant pushing and pulling, it just breaks the whole system down.
And that cycle, where you're actively sabotaging your own momentum with second-guessing, that leads straight to mental overload.
And paralysis. It's the ultimate killer of productivity.
So if we break down the failures he identified, they basically came down to two main issues. The first was keeping everything in your head.
I get why that's so tempting, though. When I feel overwhelmed, just holding it all in my head feels like I've somehow made the problem smaller, even if just for a minute.
Precisely. And that is the trap. Your brain prefers what it already knows.
Yeah.
These low-effort tasks.
Yeah.
And writing things down feels like more work up front.
Right.
So you keep it all mental, the list of problems seems smaller, and you get this temporary hit of relief.
Yeah.
But if those tasks are just recommendations, things you should do but aren't forced to,
They just pile up.
they just pile up. And you pay for that short-term relief with long-term stress and eventually failure.
So the tasks feel less urgent, but the mental weight is actually heavier. Okay, and the second issue.
The second issue was a failure to commit.
Ah.
He pointed out that he'd spent the entire day doing research, thinking, planning, all things that create the illusion of being productive.
Right. It feels like you're being smart, considering all the angles.
But he never actually pulled the trigger. He never executed. It's just
Yeah.
analysis paralysis pretending to be preparation.
The feeling of being productive is not the same as being productive.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do we apply this? Say I'm ready to commit, but I don't know which domino to push first.
That's where the visual part comes in. The practical advice from the source is, first, just accept the mental state you're in. Maybe you don't have the capacity for deep work today. That's okay.
Be realistic.
Be realistic. And second, you have to lay all your tasks out visually. On paper, a simple app, whatever. Just get them out of your head so you know what you're actually looking at.
And then the commitment part.
And then you commit. If you've done the research or you know the next logical step, just go with it. Might not be the absolute perfect solution, but waiting for the perfect first move is the failure. It's action over certainty.
That idea of commitment is the perfect bridge then, because if you can commit to pushing that first domino, it leads us right to episode 331, single task sprint.
Exactly. Because if we're going to commit, we need absolute clarity. We need to know what we're committing to.
Right. So 331 is all about getting rid of that drag on tasks by using the idea of finish line first.
And the problem this solves is purely psychological. When the finish line is fuzzy, the task has no boundaries.
Which leads to one of two things, right?
Two bad outcomes. Either you work way past the point of getting any real value, just polishing something that was already fine, or you never start in the first place because the target is so unclear it feels impossible.
So the strategy is just brilliantly simple. Describe the end state in one clean, concrete sentence before you even start.
And it has to be so specific that, like, a robot can tell you if you did it or not.
The examples he gave were perfect for this. Like, for tackling your email inbox, done means.
The inbox is at 0 today, and everything else is snoozed or archived. It's not, I answered a few things.
Or for tidying up, done means the kitchen counter is clear enough that I can open my cookbook without moving anything.
I love that. It's so concrete.
It turns this vague idea of tidying into a measurable, winnable game. And it gets rid of the guilt you feel for stopping work.
That elimination of guilt, that's the real power here. It protects you from something called perfection drift.
Okay, let's define perfection drift. Because doesn't polishing lead to excellence? If I stop before it's perfect, isn't that just like lazy?
And that's the counterintuitive part. You should absolutely aim for excellence, but you have to define what that excellence looks like before you start.
I see.
Perfection drift is what happens when you hit your original goal, and then your mind just invents new criteria on the spot. Oh, maybe a better font. I should add one more link.
You drift past the point of value.
Precisely. Defining the end first ensures your effort is optimized. You stop when the value peaks, not when your energy is gone.
So the key is to set a high, clear standard in advance. And then you have to ruthlessly defend that standard against your own impulse to just keep tweaking.
And that ties in perfectly with time limits. Time constraints become the accountability partner for your finish line.
So pick a short window, like 10-15 minutes for a small task.
Or maybe a couple of hours for a real deep work sprint.
Yeah.
And when those doubts creep in, that urge to polish more, you just check your sentence.
If the sentence is true, you are done. Close, save, and ship it. If it's not true, you take the one single next step to make it true.
No more, no less. That is the sprint mentality.
Okay, so here's a challenge for you, the listener, drawn right from this deep dive.
I like this.
Pick one small nagging task. An email, your desk, whatever. State the finish line out loud in one specific sentence. Set a short timer.
Yeah.
And you have to stop the moment that sentence is true.
And don't forget the last part, which is so often missed. Leave a breadcrumb.
What do you mean?
Leave a note on your desk or leave the file open to the exact page where the next move has to happen. It removes all the friction for your future self.
And that act of finishing on purpose, it actually teaches your brain that clarity beats raw force, that finishing is a skill you can choose.
Which brings all three ideas together so nicely. The perspective to see the gray areas lets you make better judgments.
That judgment lets you commit to pushing the right first domino.
And that commitment only really works when you have the clarity of a defined finish line.
So to synthesize this whole thing, we got the wisdom to see idols and public debates with skepticism, knowing the truth is in the gray areas.
We covered the commitment you need to structure your tasks like dominoes, to avoid that trap of research without action.
And finally, we learned the crucial skill of actually finishing things by defining the end first, which protects us from that dreaded perfection drift.
A fantastic summary. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into these three really interconnected ideas.
So here's a final provocative thought for you to take into your week. Which of these three principles, perspective, commitment, or clarity, is the biggest obstacle for you right now?
Good question.
Pick that one. Address that one first. Focus your energy there.
Thank you so much for tuning in and supporting this show. We really hope these insights can make a difference for you this week.
See you tomorrow.